Hey guys, Levelcap here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new In the Name of the Tzar map, Lupkow Pass. You can play this now on the Battlefield 1 CTE. And although none of the new vehicles seem to be available, you can try out the new cavalry class that comes with a lance, which is actually pretty fun and cool. In fact, there's a lot of cavalry units on this map, so expect to see a lot of people on horseback and just cavalry soldiers dismounted attacking you. This is also the first official snow map that we've gotten for Battlefield 1, and it looks beautiful. The art team has done a phenomenal job creating a very believable and gorgeous looking map. In the center, we have a lot of high rocks and sniper locations, fallen trees. It starts off with a lot more trees upright, but there's plenty of destroyable trees, so things become more barren, especially towards the center of the map. There's a cool train bridge crossing a ravine. There's also a castle on one side of the map, or the ruins of a castle. It's a really nice looking map. I was able to play it on the Conquest game mode, where there's 7 different capture points spread around the map, plus a armored train behemoth that will come in on the railway. It can actually go over the bridge in it, which is pretty darn cool. And then there's no ground vehicles in the map, nothing with wheels. There is, however, a plane for each team. Now let's talk about how Conquest plays out on this map. What's interesting is that at first you might think that this map has a lot of lanes, as there's canyons and roads heading to each different point, and there's clearly marked paths that are easier for the cavalry units to get around. However, once you start to play on the map a bit more, you realize you can really climb up on a lot of different rocks, and you can get to just about any high point in this map, which does make it fairly chaotic for infantry pushes. If you think you're having a private firefight with one other player, it's not going to be long before somebody hears your gunshots and takes you out from a higher angle than you're on. There's snipers all over the place. Machine gunners are a very popular class on this map, as their range seems pretty much appropriate for most of the firefights. In addition to that, the high contrast between the black and white, with the black being a lot of the rocks peeking through the snow and the white from the snow, infantry units blend in extremely well. So you might be scanning the horizon line, not see anyone until a sniper shot rings out and takes your head off. You didn't see the sniper because they look just like any other piece of rock that might be peeking through the snow. This creates a lot of visual noise, making it take even longer to pinpoint your enemies at medium or further ranges, and kind of adds to the chaos factor of this map. Now, it is a bit of fun chaos, I will say that. The combat was constantly moving, the pacing of it was pretty good, but at the end of the day, it still was a bit of chaos. I found myself losing many of the firefights to being just shot in the back by somebody I hadn't anticipated. Now, it's true that playing the map more, I could learn some of the flanking routes or the more popular paths to go on that would give me the best odds of not getting flanked by somebody else. But on my first playthrough, my first glance of the map, it just felt very, very unpredictable combat-wise, especially towards the center points of the map, which are all surrounded by flags on pretty much any angle and can all be approached by those flags at just about any point. The center of the map is also very important to control because it has the highest points on the map and can be used to sort of rain down fire on all the other flags, which actually makes it really annoying sometimes to push the other flags, because you will be having a private firefight for flag contention over there, and some sniper will take you out from the center of the map, and that can be kind of annoying, especially when you're trying to have like sort of your own closed off firefight, or you think you've got the upper hand on an enemy infantry and you just get taken out from really far because the high ground is so important. One really nice thing about this map, though, is that it's an infantry map. You don't have to worry about armor at all. There is going to be a decent amount of cavalry units, I think at least 3 per team, potentially more based on some of the other points that you capture. So there could be a lot of cavalry classes moving around the map, and they could dismount and be some extra powerful infantry. There's also plenty of elite classes to be found, but that's expected on any infantry-centric map. I do enjoy the more infantry-centric gameplay generally. The single planes on either team, for the most part, don't affect infantry play too much, but there was a few games in which we had some fully kitted out bombers or some attack planes that were totally uncontested, and they would just kill you over and over and over again. There's very limited anti-aircraft placement in this map, so if those single planes on either team get air domination, it can be really bad or really annoying for the enemy team. I don't even know if this map really needs the airplanes. I don't know if it adds to the experience, and it does kind of take away from this map being an almost pure infantry experience, as the planes just kind of mess with that a bit. And even when spending a good amount of time trying to take them down as infantry, a good pilot can avoid that if they know how to fly and make themselves hard to hit for snipers. Some of the gimme points on the map, like G, which is very close to one of the team's spawns, really didn't see a lot of contention throughout the game. I bailed out as a pilot once on the point, captured it without any effort or any contention from the enemy team, and then just sat on it for several minutes until like 1 or 2 players would trickle in, and I was easily able to ambush them and kill them. There didn't seem to be a lot of people interested in fighting on some of these gimme points, and I think part of that is because of how far away they are from the central point of the map where all the action is happening, and also that there's no vehicles or easy way to get over there. Usually you just gotta run on foot, which can either be dangerous or it can just take too long, and players, you know, don't have that kind of attention span or aren't as interested in just purely trying to win the game. As when I stood on those points and defended them or held them for most of the game, I really didn't get a lot of points for it, as there just wasn't enough action revolving around those flags. I think this could be seen as sort of a map design flaw. Some of the extremity points on other maps often go uncontested for most of the game, and that could be something looked into, but then again, it is sort of the design principle with many of Conquest maps. Now, without question, this is probably one of the most uneven battlefield maps in the game in terms of the terrain itself. I'm not talking about team balance, but the terrain is so bumpy and rocky, and there's little tree stumps and rocks and whatever sticking out from here and there, that as you're running through as a soldier, you're going to be doing a lot of sort of bumpy and jerky movements, which makes shooting and tracking other players very difficult sometimes. And I found it to make the scout class especially very difficult, as just honing in and tracking other players was a real chore, much more difficult than on other maps. So I thought this would be a great map to play the scout on, but just because of the unevenness of the terrain, it was very difficult, and the way that DICE handles soldier animations and going over little rocks or bumps, it can create a lot of unintentional soldier movement, especially on the defensive player's part, where they think they're just running in a straight line, but in fact their player model's kind of bumping and jabbing all over the place, which does make it hard to track. And this is kind of a new experience for me in Battlefield 1, because many of the maps just don't really incorporate this level of bump or this kind of rocky terrain. So it's kind of interesting to see how the DICE soldier animations handle it. In my opinion, it could be better, or it does really kind of conflict with some of the scout gameplay, and it really just forced me into a situation where all I wanted to do was get into medium to close range combat, as it wasn't as big of an issue there. As for weather effects, the map looks really beautiful when it's clear skies out. When the snow starts coming down, which is a new weather effect, there's sort of light snow, and then there's like sort of this snowy mist. It's similar to like a foggy style game mode. The map looks absolutely gorgeous in both style game modes, and the fog will give you a little bit of cover from some of those bombers or attack planes that have been pestering you. Artistically, I think the map is absolutely beautiful. In terms of gameplay, the contrast again does make it hard to see enemy soldiers, and in terms of a Conquest map, I would say the general lack of pathing and the somewhat chaotic design of the terrain just makes the strategy more chaotic than anything. You can hide just about anywhere, and you can proceed on foot to just about any flag without any major obstructions in your way. So there isn't much in the way of pathing, and that creates a more chaotic style game mode. Now, because it's infantry only, it can be a bit of fun chaos, and if you want non-stop action, just go to the center map and have fun. But if you're looking for something a bit more strategic, where you can try and anticipate the enemy moves a bit more and decide, hey, we're going to leave one guy back on this point and push that point, I don't know if the map plays out so well for that specific kind of strategy. In fact, I think it will play out much better in the operations game mode that's a bit more linear. The map's beautiful, and I can see certain areas working really well as long as there's a defensive line and an offensive line. When it's in the Conquest game mode, having players be able to attack from just about every single angle kind of ruins some of the strategic gameplay for me. Still, it's a fun map to play on. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think it's a good first showing for the new In the Name of the Tzar DLC. Anyway, that wraps it up for this first impressions video. Try it out for yourself if you have access to the CTE. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.